99% of live poker players keep searching for the next big strategy, but the ones who crush the games just nail 5 basics that everyone else ignores. I've helped dozens of students turn these small changes into healthy hourly rates. So in this video, I'll break down what they are and how you can crush 1-2 and 1-3 live in 2026. The first thing experienced pros do is the same principle Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, has done for years. Have you noticed that Zuckerberg often wears simple grey t-shirts or hoodies? That's not coincidence or laziness, he does it deliberately. Zuckerberg has a rack with about 20 of those grey t-shirts. Every morning he walks to that rack and takes out one of them. He says the purpose is to reduce everyday trivial decisions, freeing up mental energy for what he considers more important work. But how are grey t-shirts going to help you win more at 1-2 and 1-3 live? Just like Mark Zuckerberg avoids wasting mental bandwidth on trivial decisions, we don't want to waste energy rethinking and recalculating the same things at the poker table. Poker is a mentally exhausting game. You're making hundreds of decisions in a single session, maybe even thousands. And after a few hours, your brain gets tired whether you feel it or not. And that's when mistakes creep in. So the goal is simple: eliminate as many trivial decisions as possible so you can save your mental energy for the expensive ones. But how do you do that? By finding an automation process for the early streets, pre-flop and on the flop. I'm not saying you should play on autopilot. In fact, that is the mistake that a lot of players make. No, what I'm saying is you should have a default strategy that you can always fall back on, like a repeatable thought process on the flop. For example, knowing that you want to c-bet your entire range on the flop in position in heads-up pots. That means you don't have to use up mental energy to think whether this is a good board for you or whether the opponent has check raises in their range. You simplify those trivial spots and save up your bandwidth for big river decisions, for example. Another easy way to automate these decisions is to have custom-built opening and 3-betting ranges that you can follow. I have created a short cheat sheet with all these ranges designed for 1-2 and 1-3 and not some solver nonsense. I normally only share these with my clients in my training program, but now you can get them for free by clicking the link in the description below or by scanning this QR code. Another shortcut to success is knowing how to play against limpers. Most studied players know that they should punish limpers, but they typically make 2 big mistakes. Here's an example for the first mistake. 3 players limp in a 1-2 game and you look down at King-Jack offsuit on the button. You raise to 11 and all 3 limpers call. The flop comes 8-7-4 and you're forced to give up in a bloated multi-way pot with King-High. The mistake wasn't raising. No, the mistake was raising too small. The common 3x plus 1 per limper rule that coaches often mention is simply too small in live low stakes games. With 3 limpers, $15 should be the absolute minimum. I would bump it up to 20 or even 25. Don't be afraid of raising big with decent hands when you're in position. Yes, sometimes everyone will still call, but most of the time you'll thin the field to one opponent, and that's exactly what you want. When you isolate properly, you win in 3 ways. First, when everyone folds, you pick up the dead money uncontested and immediately. Second, when one player calls, you're in position against a capped range in an inflated pot with a skill edge. And third, even when they continue with hands like suited gappers or weak aces, they've already made a mathematical mistake by putting in too much money with too little equity. Post-flop, the plan is simple. Against sticky players, stop bluffing and value bet relentlessly. Against everyone else, apply pressure on good turns. Most players at 1-2 and 1-3 will overfold to turn barrels, especially on scare cards like aces and kings. And here's the second mistake. A lot of players will raise with the wrong type of hands. With 1 limper, raise your normal range from that position, just a little bigger. What is your normal range? As I said, I've created a cheat sheet with open ranges for all positions designed specifically for soft 1-2 and 1-3 games. Click on the link below or scan the QR code here to get it for free. With 2 or more limpers, tighten to what you would normally open from early position. Don't get cute and try to raise 5 limpers with hands like King Deuce suited or 10-9 offsuit. That's a recipe for disaster. Knowing how to play against limpers is a hugely important skill to beat the live low stakes, but there's another one that's equally important. So imagine your local store announces some big deals for Black Friday, and everyone is rushing in and chasing value. Nobody is disciplined, and the risk of getting trampled is real. This, by the way, is original footage of people wanting to get my pre-flop range cheat sheet. But in all seriousness, this is exactly what multi-way pots look like. It's like flops are on sale and nobody wants to miss out. But once they're in it, nobody has a clue what they're doing. So if you can be the one with a plan, you can just sit back and observe the chaos everyone else is in. And how do you do that? By having a repeatable thought process and avoiding the mistakes everybody else makes. My repeatable thought process goes as follows. It doesn't matter if I raised pre-flop or if I was one of the callers. Once we are multi-way and it checks to me, my first question on the flop is if it is likely that someone behind me will bet. If the answer is yes, then I will just let them. And then I can sit back and see what everyone else is doing. If I have a big hand or big draw, I can check raise. If I have a medium strength hand and the action isn't crazy, I might call. And if I have nothing, I will simply fold. And by the way, nothing can mean a hand like ace-king on a board of 9-6 deuce after a player bet and 2 others called. And what if it's unlikely that the board will get stabbed? Then I consider betting my really strong hands like sets or 2 pair, but also good hands like top pair, good kicker. If you follow these guidelines and understand that multi-way pots downgrade hand strength, where top pair is just okay and small draws are trash basically, you're already better than 99% of your opponents. Another change that has helped numerous of my students increase their win rate is not something they do, but something they needed to stop doing. Like this student who displayed this leak in pretty much every session. He played this hand online, but it's the same principle as it would be in live poker. The cutoff raised and my student 3-bet king-jack suited on the button. So far, it's great. But then the cutoff, who is a tight player, decided to 4-bet. And Hero just 5-bet with his hand, leaving around a quarter pot bet behind. Villain called. On the flop he then shoved for his tiny remaining stack, and obviously he got called because Villain had pocket aces. When I confronted my student with his decisions in this hand, he didn't offer excuses. He clearly admitted what went on here. He said the fight or flight mechanism set in and he's not the type to run away, so he wanted to fight. And don't get me wrong, there are times when you need to put up a fight at the poker table. No, not literally. But when you get 4-bet by a very tight player, then it's not the time to try to push him out of the pot. Yet I see this so often that players take it personally and re-raise in situations when they are clearly behind. So do yourself and your win rate a favor and stop mindlessly fighting for pots that you can't win. Instead, pick your battles and stick to fundamentally strong poker. And this brings me to another crucial bit if you want to make 2026 your best year at live poker. Imagine you invite 4 of your best friends for dinner and you try out a meal that you think might be good. Your friends start eating and basically all of them start becoming sick pretty soon. They even tell you that it's really yucky. This dinner party was clearly not a success. So what would you do next? Well, I'll tell you what you probably wouldn't be doing. You won't invite even more people for dinner and cook the same meal again, right? But at the poker table, this is exactly what most players do. They made a mistake the first time round, but then they don't learn from it and they just make the same mistake over and over again. But how can they avoid that? Well, the most important thing is to not just move on without ever thinking about the mistake or thinking about it but getting annoyed or frustrated about the wrong things. Instead, you need to analyze the hands that confused you and try to recognize what you did wrong. So here's what I would do. The first thing is to take notes of hands you played, because otherwise you'll forget the details. And then I would pick 3 hands from every session you played and go through them at home. And I'm not talking about running them through a solver or nonsense like that. Check if you would still take the same line now that you're at home and there's no pressure on you. But be careful that you don't get results oriented. And then you can also post your hand in one of the numerous forums on Discord where more experienced players will comment on your hands. But either way, reserving some time for study every week is the only way to improve without hiring a coach or joining a personal small group coaching program like my live low stakes accelerator. But there is a bit of a cheat code to improve your results almost instantly. This is so simple that it seems stupid, but it is extremely effective. To find out what it is, watch this video next.